everyone, in today's video I'm going to be answering some common questions I get about moving to / living in Lake Tahoe. So if you're thinking about moving to Lake Tahoe, then this video might be helpful to you. If it's your first time here, I'm Gabriella. I am a photographer and Lake Tahoe transplant, and I make videos on mostly Lake Tahoe, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Okay, so most of these questions are from the comment section on a few of my videos, with most of them coming from this video called Living in Lake Tahoe, Pros and Cons. And if you haven't checked that video out already, I've linked it in the description below. And I just want to put it out there that the answers that I'm giving for most of these questions are completely subjective and based on my own personal experience. So with that, let's get into it. I'm going to start with a question that I see the most, and it is it expensive to live in Lake Tahoe? I've seen a lot of comments about how outrageously expensive it is to live here. And of course, whether something or not is expensive is relative and based on your own situation. For me, I'm coming from living in New York City and LA, which are two of the most overpriced cities in the country, maybe the world. So for me, living in Lake Tahoe is considerably cheaper than living in LA or New York City. Just to give you guys an idea, I live in South Lake Tahoe and I pay about $400 less per month in rent and utilities than I did while living in LA. Also in Tahoe, I'm able to afford living by myself, which is awesome. In LA, I had roommates in order to live in the areas that I wanted to live in, like Venice or Marina del Rey. Based on my own research, I think that South Lake Tahoe has more options in terms of affordable rent compared to North Lake Tahoe. In terms of buying a home, I don't have much experience with that since I don't own a home in Lake Tahoe, but I have heard and read that housing prices have gone up considerably with everything going on. What is the average age of people living in Lake Tahoe? So this is something I actually had to look up, and according to a couple of websites, the average age is 37 years old, and there's more men than women living in Lake Tahoe. How do you deal with crowds? Tahoe obviously gets a lot of tourists, and I deal with that by avoiding the weekends and holidays. So on weekends and holidays or typical busy days, I will just stay in and, do stuff on my computer, go to the gym. When I do go to the beach or go hiking, I'll always do that during the week, and I'll try and get there as early as I can. For as crowded as this place gets, there are plenty of days where I go to popular spots and they're pretty empty. So it's pretty easy to circumvent the crowds. What is the prettiest side of the lake? I think that the East Shore is the prettiest side of the lake. That's just my personal opinion. It's rugged, it's pristine, and that is where you're gonna find that gorgeous turquoise colored water. North Lake versus South Lake Tahoe. I think North Lake Tahoe is a little bit quieter, a little bit less touristy, and a little more expensive in terms of rent. South Lake Tahoe is a bit more commercialized. There's more stores, like convenience stores. There's more nightlife in South Lake Tahoe, and obviously there's a lot more tourists in South Lake Tahoe. But in terms of the scenery, I think it's pretty equal. I think there's tons of stuff to do in regards to outdoor activities, whether you're in North Lake Tahoe or in South Lake Tahoe. What is the job situation like? This is another really common question, and I've heard people say that the job market in Lake Tahoe is terrible. But if you are in the hospitality industry or the service industry, then you're in luck, because these are some of the easiest jobs to get. This is actually what I did when I first moved here. I bartended for years in LA, so it was relatively easy for me to pick up a bartending job when I first moved here, and that kind of got me going. Eventually, I began supporting myself with freelance photography, which brings me to my next point. If you can work remotely or you have a freelance business, then Tahoe might be a great fit. And if you are in the service industry, keep in mind that Tahoe is seasonal. Be prepared to bank your money during the busy seasons, because you might not be making that much during the slow seasons. As far as jobs that aren't entry level, I've heard that these jobs are a little bit harder to get as Tahoe is a small community. Is it easy to meet people? This is another common question, and of course, This depends on your personality. If you're more outgoing and extroverted, you're obviously gonna have an easier time meeting people. I moved here by myself, not knowing anyone, and I'm more of an introvert. And I ended up meeting most of my friends through Instagram, which is kind of weird for me. And then, you know, if you are the type that's friendly, of course you can go into the bars and restaurants and start chatting people up under normal circumstances. And then another good way to meet people would be if you got a job, you'd obviously meet people that way. So yeah, is it easy to meet people here? I think personality, number one, and just be open-minded to new ways of meeting people. Is Stateline a good place to live? I think Stateline is a great place to live. It's safe, it's very convenient. You're right across from Heavenly Mountain and you're in walking distance to bars and restaurants, CVS, Rayleigh's. I think that Stateline is a great starting point if you're moving to Lake Tahoe. It is like the most touristy area in Lake Tahoe, so that can get annoying. But all around, I think Stateline is a really nice, convenient, safe place to live in Lake Tahoe. Do you need a car? And if so, do you need four-wheel drive? I definitely think that you need a car if you're living in Lake Tahoe, because one of the big reasons for living here is exploring the outdoors, and you definitely need a car to do that. So there are people who live here who don't have a car, but if you want to explore the lake and the surrounding area, you need a car. As far as four-wheel drive, I would recommend four-wheel drive just because you're gonna feel a lot safer and more secure driving in the snow with four-wheel drive. I currently do not have four-wheel drive, and I really regret that. So when my lease is up, I'm getting four-wheel drive because I've had a few incidences where I've slid on ice, and it really can, you know, mess with you and make you feel unsafe. So you don't need it, but I recommend it. So the next set of questions is more like personal, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer those. How long have you been living in Lake Tahoe? I have been living in Lake Tahoe as of making this video 1.5 years. And when I moved here, I only intended to be here for 4 months, but I'm still here. Where did you move from? So I moved from LA. I lived there for 6 years before I moved to Tahoe in August of 2019, but I am originally from New York. What inspired you to move to Tahoe? The scenery. I wanted to live in a beautiful place, and being an outdoor photographer, I just felt really inspired by Lake Tahoe. Least favorite thing about living in Lake Tahoe? I would say that being far away from my family and most of my friends is kind of hard. Living in a tourist destination definitely can get annoying, and the dry climate, it drives me crazy sometimes. Just having bloodshot, itchy eyes and dry skin, it's not really fun. Favorite thing about living in Lake Tahoe? Like I mentioned before, the scenery, being able to wake up every day in such a beautiful place, and just having all of these outdoor activities at your disposal. It's really cool. A lot of the things that I'm doing, like snow tubing and kayaking and paddle boarding and diving into the lake, I haven't done a lot of these things since I was a little kid. So it sort of feels like you're living at summer camp or just camp for adults. All right, so that concludes all of the questions. If I missed any questions, or if you have a question that I didn't answer, go ahead and leave it in the comments. And then I just want to end this video by saying one thing, that if you are visiting Tahoe, please make sure to leave no trace when you're visiting. That is definitely the quickest way to piss off people who live here, is by leaving trash. So yeah, just don't be that person. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.